Dannion Brinkley, a man whose life was dramatically transformed after being struck by lightning in 1975, has shared profound insights from his near-death experience. During his time on the other side, Dannion encountered higher beings who showed him vivid scenes of his life and gave him a powerful awakening to his psychic abilities. He was also shown a series of 117 prophecies about the future of humanity and the planet. One of his most striking revelations was about Earth's transition from a 3D consciousness characterized by fear and separation to a 5D consciousness of unity, love, and spiritual awakening. Dannion's message serves as a prophetic warning and a beacon of hope, urging humanity to embrace love, compassion, and higher consciousness in order to navigate the turbulent times ahead and participate in this great planetary shift. On September 17, 1975, thunderstorms were rumbling over Aiken, a city in the United States. 25-year-old Dannion was making a phone call when suddenly a loud bang was followed by a strong electric current surging through his body. Dannion was struck by lightning, accompanied by a strong, burning smell. In an instant, Dannion felt as though he had been lifted into the air by a force. What once seemed like a high ceiling now felt within reach. His wife, Sandy, who stood nearby, was stunned and left speechless as she saw her husband suspended in the air. The lightning not only burned Dannion's body, but also melted the phone receiver in his hand. Doctors saw Dannion's burned body and were powerless to help. They could only declare him dead. However, to everyone's surprise, Dannion miraculously revived after 28 minutes without a heartbeat and claimed to have brought back 117 prophecies from heaven. From then on, this war-hardened man was reborn, shedding his former fate like a butterfly emerging from a cocoon. So what exactly did Dannion experience during his journey to heaven? According to Dannion's recollection, at the moment his body was struck by lightning, he was in excruciating pain. At the same time, however, his soul quickly detached from his suffering body and floated in the air. Dannion looked down at his own body lying on the bed, his shoes still smoking, and the phone receiver in his hand melted. His soul hovered about 15 feet above everyone else and witnessed the medical personnel's efforts to save him. Before the ambulance even reached the hospital, the doctors declared him dead. Suspended in the air, Dannion quietly observed his lifeless body, feeling no desire to return to it, as though the body covered with a white sheet had no connection to him. He wanted to comfort his grieving family and friends, but soon realized that no one could hear his voice. At that moment, a tunnel appeared before him, approaching him like a hurricane, and in an instant, Dannion was sucked into it. Everything on Earth faded away from him. He could deeply feel the kindness that permeated the place. When he looked down at his hands, they appeared semi-transparent, glowing faintly like flowing seawater. The beauty was indescribable. A higher being stood directly in front of him, radiating dazzling light, as if made of thousands of diamonds. Although Dannion couldn't clearly see his face, he could feel the immense energy coming from him, filling him with endless love, forgiveness, and encouragement. As the higher being circled around him, something incredible happened. Dannion's memories began to flood like a breached dam, replaying his entire life. It was as if someone had pressed the rewind button on his life. First came his childhood. He recalled thousands of fights from the ages between 5 to 12. Dannion had been a hardened, tough guy who relished making others suffer. He never cared who he fought, always targeting the most skilled fighters of his age. They even set up rings near the school to fight for the title of champion. As the scene played out, he felt the fear, pain, and helplessness of every person he had wronged. Deep shame overcame him for his past actions, but even this troubled fighting champion had moments of conscience. Once, he saw a farmer beating a goat with a branch. The poor goat's head was stuck in a fence, struggling in pain but unable to escape, bleating helplessly. Dannion couldn't stand to watch any longer, so he jumped out of the car and gave the farmer a good thrashing, then freed the goat. At this moment in the memory replay, Dannion felt the farmer's shame and even heard the goat thank him in its animal language. As Dannion grew older, his fighting skills were put to use during the Vietnam War. He was assigned to intelligence work, conducting surveillance in Laos and Cambodia. This thrilled him. He constantly traveled through the sweltering Southeast Asian jungles, engaging in the combat he loved. As a soldier, Dannion had stubbornly believed that everything he did in war was for his country, even if it meant killing indiscriminately. But when those events were replayed, he vividly felt the despair and pain of every life lost. During his last mission, before a previous encounter, he had delivered weapons to a country in Central America. In the memory replay, Dannion saw those weapons being used to kill soldiers and innocent civilians the moment they reached the war zone. In heaven, he saw the horrifying consequences of his actions. This was the life Dannion had lived before he turned 25. From an observer's point of view, Dannion reevaluated himself, realizing he had led such a selfish, despicable life. He had rarely helped others and had never shown kindness to his fellow humans. He saw the immense guilt he had accumulated. His heart was filled with self-reproach, calling himself worthless. What else could he deserve besides condemnation? The higher being heard his thoughts and comforted him, much like a grandfather showing unconditional compassion and love. The higher being didn't speak, but conveyed everything telepathically, telling him that humans are meant to bring beauty, kindness, and goodness into the world. Creating good often starts with small acts of kindness in daily life. These little acts are precious because they reveal a person's true self. As Dannion continued to recall his life, the higher being showed him a scene that occurred in the grocery store he often visited as a child. It was a hot summer day, and Dannion, filled with thirst, was craving a cold Coca-Cola. He ran into the store, but soon realized he didn't have any money. The store owner, however, smiled kindly and handed him the bottle for free. Dannion's eyes sparkled as he received it, filled with gratitude. He hadn't expected such kindness from a stranger. Now, in this heavenly realm, Dannion could feel how that small gesture of generosity radiated outward, creating waves of goodness in the world. The higher being showed him that every act of love and kindness has a ripple effect, touching countless lives in ways we can't even begin to comprehend. Even small acts of generosity and compassion can shift the course of someone's life for the better, in ways we may never know. After witnessing his life, Dannion was shown 117 future prophecies. Some of these predictions have already come true. He foresaw the Gulf War, the 9/11 attacks, and the rise of terrorist groups. He also saw natural disasters, political unrest, and global changes. Each vision showed waves of suffering and turmoil sweeping across the world. However, despite these dark images, Dannion was given hope. The higher beings explained that while these events were predestined, humans still have the power to change the outcome by shifting their consciousness. The key lies in love, compassion, and unity. The future isn't set in stone. If humanity can awaken to their divine potential, they can alter their collective destiny. One of the most striking prophecies Dannion received was about a pandemic, even more devastating than the coronavirus, which would sweep the globe, claiming millions of lives. This virus would spread more easily and be deadlier than any pandemic in history, leading to chaos, fear, and isolation. In its wake, the global economy would collapse and countries would struggle to recover. In the aftermath of the pandemic, the world would experience a series of natural disasters. Tsunamis, earthquakes, and volcanic eruptions would become more frequent and intense. Financial markets would crash, leading to widespread poverty and instability. Governments would struggle to maintain order, and the fabric of society would begin to unravel. Despite these grim visions, Dannion was reassured that the higher beings would not abandon humanity. They would continue to guide and support us, helping those who choose to live in alignment with love and truth. Dannion was shown that while the world would go through a period of great darkness, this was part of a larger spiritual awakening. Humanity would be forced to confront their collective shadows and make a choice: either continue down the path of destruction or turn towards the light. He was shown that the earth itself is undergoing a transformation, moving from a 3D consciousness of separation and fear to a 5D consciousness of unity and love. This shift would be challenging, as it would require individuals to let go of old patterns of behavior, beliefs, and attachments. But those who are able to make this shift would experience a new way of being, marked by peace, harmony, and joy. Dannion also saw that technological advancements, particularly in artificial intelligence and robotics, would play a significant role in humanity's future. While these technologies could bring great benefits, they also posed significant risks if misused. The higher beings warned that if humanity did not develop spiritually and morally, they could end up being controlled by their own creations. The key to a harmonious future lies in balancing technological progress with spiritual growth. After receiving these prophecies, Dannion was given a choice. He could return to his body and share what he had learned with the world, or he could stay in the spiritual realm. Though tempted to remain in the peace and love of heaven, Dannion ultimately chose to return. He felt a deep responsibility to share the messages he had received and help guide humanity through the difficult times ahead. When Dannion returned to his body, he found himself profoundly changed. The man who had once thrived on violence and conflict now felt compelled to live a life of love, compassion, and service. He began sharing his near-death experience and the prophecies he had received with anyone who would listen, hoping to awaken others to their divine potential. In the years since his lightning strike, Dannion has written several books, given countless talks, and worked as a hospice volunteer, comforting those on the brink of death. He continues to share his message of hope, reminding people that no matter how dark the world may seem, there is always a path to the light.